Welcome back to the news with SageNtheRage.
I'm Sage.
And I'm Rage.
And this week we're going to be talking about some Blizzard news.
And Sage brought to my attention something that makes me super happy because we just started a Hearthstone series. And in Hearthstone, I've noticed that druids are completely overpowered and I'm not just whining and complaining. And this article kind of reveals that. So anybody who plays a druid deck in Hearthstone, get ready.
Hold on to your butts.
Blizzard will reveal a nerf to Hearthstone's druid class this week. Malfurion has been plaguing the ladder since the launch of Knights of the Frozen Throne. And this comes from PC Gamer in their news section. And basically, some things to read here. If you've been watching Hearthstone's HCT Europe Summer Playoffs this weekend, you'll have noticed a distinct lack of druid. Not because the class isn't popular, quite the opposite. Every one of the 77 players participating brought a druid deck. Because it's so good, they've all been banning it. We wrote about the druid problem earlier this week, predicting the multiple nerfs were on the way, and it sounds like that's about to happen, judging by this tweet today from game director Ben Brody. Thanks for the feedback regarding druid. We've been considering options and should have more to share this week. So, basically, the new expansion came out and they got buffed. Sage?
Yeah. Let's put this into perspective. 77 people all brought druid decks, and every single one of them got banned.
Everybody that comes to a tournament wanted to play the same deck.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Which leads to this next section here. The Druid class got an unwarranted buff from the cards in the Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion, with Malfurion, the Pestilence, Spreading Plague, and Druid of the Swarm all providing significant power boost. So much that according to Vicious Syndicate's most recent support, Druid decks now account for more than 30% of the ranked ladder worldwide. By comparison, the next strongest class is Priest at just below 14%, where the poor old Rogue brings up the rear at a paltry 5%.
So, roughly a third of the ranked ladder is playing druid decks. That's clearly imbalanced. If, we have 9 classes, and we have one that takes up literally a third of the deck lists.
Yep. The biggest offender as far as the community is concerned, though, is the Ultimate Infestation. It's a 10-cast spell that deals 5 damage, summons a 5/5 minion, gives you 5 armor, and draws 5 cards. Pretty good, you might think, and you would be right. So much that it's hard to know what Blizzard was thinking. I can say from playing against druids, I've had this card played on me, it is completely overpowered. 5 damage, that should account for 5 mana crystals almost, maybe 3 mana crystals. Draw 5 cards, that's insane. Gain 5 armor, and then summon a 5/5. So basically, you can take out any mid-range monster on the board. You can armor up to take a big hit if you didn't clear it. You get to refill your hand and put a 5/5 very powerful mid-range on the board. Yeah, it's 10 mana, but it does everything.
Yeah. It literally does pretty much any mechanic you could want. It's got it. You deal damage, you gain armor, you get hand advantage, and you get a board presence. All in one card.
Yep. Less than ultimate game balance. I like that little note here.
It's power creep, pure and simple.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll find out soon enough. My guess is that both Plague and Infestation will get changed. Some pros, most notably Andre Yannick, have also called for the classic card Innervate. Some pros have called for this. People who play the decks have called for the classic card Innervate, which gives you an extra mana crystals on 2 extra mana crystals on turn to be sent to the Hall of Fame. Most notably going into Wild instead of Standard. So, when pros are calling for nerfs to some of the original cards, plus the Frozen Throne cards, it's sad. And so, let's take a moment. Let's pull up Hearthstone. We have it right here. Here we go. Let's go to the Druid. Where are you, my...
All the way to the left.
All the way to the left. There you go. Alright. So, this card is ridiculous. The Jade decks are done. Crazy. Summon a Jade Golem, which keeps power creeping up +1/+1 for each one that's existed before. Or you can shuffle 3 copies of this into your deck for 1 mana. So when you get it again, you shuffle more in. You shuffle more in, you shuffle more in. And then you just keep pulling them out.
Shuffle the first one, play the next 2, shuffle the third one.
Exactly. So it's got like an infinite loop to it, which is ridiculous on its own. So then we get into some of the other, cards that are the problem.
Well, Druid of the Swarm, that's one they just listed. Choose one. Transform into a 1/2 poisonous or 1/5 with taunt.
For 2 mana. It's ridiculous.
So you pretty much get whatever you need for the moment.
Yep, on the fly. Add a random minion with 5 or more attack to your hand. Lovely.
What was the other one? It was Plague.
Yeah, Plague. This is a nice card. Give your hero 3 attack this turn and 3 armor. This one is ridiculous too. For 3 mana, depending on how high up the Jade Golems are right now, you summon a Jade Golem and gain an empty mana crystal to keep pushing the curve ahead while getting presence on the board for 3 mana. And at endgame, or even mid-game, that's insane.
Yeah.
So let's go a step further. It was none of these.
Spreading Plague, that was the other one that they brought up.
Yeah, Spreading Plague. Summon a 1/5 scare with taunt. If your opponent has more minions, cast this again. So you just keep going till it's even.
Yeah, if your opponent has board advantage on you, you just even it out.
Yeah, for 5 mana. Crazy.
Super simple.
Yep. This one, Jade Behemoth. 3/6 for 6 mana, but summons a Jade Golem. That one's kind of in balance, even though it's not, because if you can push your curve up way high, you start getting Jades out right away with massive taunts.
And then we've got the big offender here, Malfurion the Pestilence.
Yep. So, choose one. Summon 2 poisonous spiders or 2 scarabs with taunt. That's not that bad, but it only costs 7 to activate. A lot of the other ones cost 9 or 8 or even 10 of these change the hero power and change your hero from the Knights of the Frozen Throne. I want to briefly touch on this.
The Lucid Nightmare Mount of WoW.
So 7.3 came out, and this huge puzzle came out. And it took thousands of WoW players in Discord together to solve this riddle, and I can't believe they even solved it. A random table in Dalaran, that you can see here that my mouse is scrolling over, appeared. A little note, a random note on the table appeared. And when you read the note, it says it begins at 214059 with a most pleasing sign. These letters will not always rhyme. So somehow somebody figured out that 2009-415, by anagramming the numbers, was the date that Uldar was released in a game expansion. So they go to Uldar where XT was, and you find a little lever randomly in the corner that you can click, and then this field comes out, and you have to make like a bow tie on a present shape by clicking all these little signs. Then your next clue will arrive. And it says, 1,000 years in prison, surely it weighs on the mind. So somehow somebody figured out that you need to go to where Cthulhu is in the Temple of Ahn'Qiraj, which was sealed for 1,000 years. That didn't take that much. I could see somebody solving that riddle pretty easy. You get there and you have to click on another thing and you can play a little Bejeweled game. So you do all that and then you get the next step. And the note simply says here, deeper than deep awaits your seat.
I could see them piecing together Deep Home with that.
Absolutely.
Because, Deep Home.
Yeah, I could see that too, but finding it is crazy. In the crumbling depths, in a cave in the northeast corner of Deep Home's lower reaches, contains a dark fissure that is only visible to players who have completed the previous step. Clicking it will alert a player that there is no exit before you enter. Inside is a single stone chair or seat, as described in the previous note. There's a skull upon the seat, along with a dingy plaque on its back. The plaque reads, you can barely make out the fragment, Get Shriek Ek. Well, somebody figured out that you can redo these letters together and get Raxum Greep, who can be found in Ratchet, a random NPC with half these letters, who they changed and put on a Shadow Weave mask on his NPC. So the community thought, maybe if I put on a Shadow Weave mask and go to this chair, maybe it'll work. Well, it didn't work. So everybody had to take off all their clothes, just equip the Shadow Weave mask, click on the skull, and then you could get the next clue. And it's where the Shaded Delegate may appear. The Shaded Delegate is a reference to a rare spawn called the Dark Iron Ambassador who may appear in Nomergon. Okay. So they put that together. Like, this is some serious thought process by the WoW community. Interacting with a fourth inconspicuous note and a set of 10 consoles becomes interactable at Nomergon. You click in English, the binary text reads, 01110, all the zeros and ones. So you put all this together, 180 plus 1111111. There's this whole thing here about anagrams, numbers translated from binary to English. Next line is a 180 telling you to reverse it. The final line of plus 1 should be that 1 should be added to each digit from what you solve. And then you have to set the console numbers to 12221765997. And then rechange that with the added numbers, and you get that. And then you get the new note that says, games and toys were left behind when you awakened screaming. This was interpreted as a clue to Val Shara. I have no idea how somebody figured out how to go to Val Shara. In a random house in the corner, you'll find a table where you have to do another little mini game. And then Il'gynoth, another note appears to say, Il'gynoth says, Alkash Saik Air Awan Ilith SageNtheRage. Translated from Shath Yar, the language of Il'gynoth. Somebody knows the language of Il'gynoth, apparently.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. Is this real or delusion? You are going mad. Okay, so you solve that thing, you get your next clue. What you seek is buried within. This was determined to lead towards the Tomb of Secrets in the Valley of Emperors in Kunglai Summit inside of the previous expansion, Mist of Pandaria. I don't know how somebody figured that out. What you seek lies buried within.
I couldn't tell you.
There's so many caves.
Yeah.
And stuff with somebody's like, oh yeah, the Tomb of Secrets. It's totally where it is. What?
Why not?
So you go there, there's a huge maze that you have to run around, and you have to activate all these things by taking one thing to another color thing. And apparently Demon Hunters have the advantage because they can jump over the huge wall. And then finally you get to the last note when you solve this thing, and players are saying it takes hours sometimes. They'll get lost in these halls solving this part. The way is now open to the greatest secret never told of fitting into your journey. That's the last hint you get. The note was a hint towards the Forgotten Crypt, a well-known and partially completed area next to Karzan. The crypt has existed for the game's earliest releases, but was never completed or opened, although it might have been previously explored via exploits. So somebody figured that means the Karzan Crypts.
I guess so.
Yeah! Then you go down there, you click on a box, and you can get
the Lucid Nightmare.
And so the point that I want to make at the end of this video is the WoW community is an amazing community. It has some bad players, it has some toxic players, it has some toxic behaviors, but in the end, it is a community that is bound together. Thousands of people in a Discord were working on this since 7.3 launched just last week, and they solved it within a week.
Yeah.
With these tiny little hints, these tiny little clues, and they were to put all this together to pull off getting this mount. And it shows that the WoW community is a community that does work together.
Some smart and creative people in the WoW community. I'll give them that.
Yeah, and it's just a testament to what you can do if you work together on anything, in video games or otherwise.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of Blizzard news for the week, but that's what's happening. I wanted to report on it. So, Sage?
Yeah, so if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and catch us next time with more news.
See ya.
Peace.